want to call it to order. Appreciate everyone being here. I do want to thank Sam and Hatton, and we recruited Hatton's son to help us out with the AV stuff. So they have played a big part in getting us here to this and being able to have a meeting for everybody in person. And I think we have several on Zoom right now. So glad everyone can make it. And I guess we will get started with move on to the program. What, Allison? We're just going to introduce our speaker.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm honored today to introduce my friend, Jeremy Biggs. He's the Executive Director of CASA of the 2nd Judicial District. He's been with CASA since 2016, but he has more than a decade of experience in the nonprofit world. So I first met him whenever I was a reporter. He was the Executive Director over at Mission Outreach. And whenever he moved on to CASA and I moved on to banking, he reached out to me about joining CASA's board. And I can tell you just from my time as a reporter dealing with him, with Mission Outreach, and being on the board at CASA, that he has such a heart for giving and giving back. And we are so very lucky to have him as our executive director. And if giving back and helping others isn't his full-time job, and that's not enough, he is also serving his 2nd term on the Paragould City Council. He's the chairman of the Paragould Advertising and Promotion Commission, is a member of Paragould Kiwanis, serves on the boards of Mission Outreach of Northeast Arkansas and Habitat Humanity for Northeast Arkansas, and is also a member of the National CASA Rural Leadership Council. Mouthful. So supporting him in all of his endeavors are his wife, April, and their beautiful 14-year-old daughter, Ava. Please join me in welcoming the Executive Director of CASA of the 2nd Judicial, Jeremy Biggs.
All right. Can everybody hear me? I've never really had a problem with not being heard. So hopefully this goes well, and forgive me. Don't give me any bad looks for being a member of Kiwanis Club. Hopefully we can all work together and making our communities better. That's our end goal. But very excited to be here on the first meeting back. Is that correct? In person. So no pressure, I guess, on me to perform well with all of our technology challenges. But just wanted to share some great news about court-appointed special advocates, what's been going on over the last year, catch everybody up to date, share some exciting news about our 25th anniversary, and share some wonderful new video products we've got as well to allow us to do some more storytelling and community outreach. So who knows what CASA does? Anybody besides Allison? Yes. Very good. Yes, we advocate for children in foster care. Am I? So, our mission is to recruit, train, and support volunteers who can serve as advocates for abused and neglected children in foster care, and they will remain with that child until they have reached a safe and permanent home. So every child that we work with has been removed from their home, from their parents or from their guardians because of abuse or neglect, either physical abuse, sexual abuse, environmental neglect. These children have went through a very difficult time by no choice of their own. They are victims of crime. And the state of Arkansas has stepped in to offer them some protection and guide them, not only the children, but hopefully guide the families towards success and reunification. If you're a nerd like me, you're going to love this part of the presentation with all the stats and numbers, but I'll try to get through it quickly. If you're not, I just wanted to share a little bit about who we do serve and how many children we do serve. So if you'll see, last year we served a total of 306 children in foster care, and that is throughout Northeast Arkansas. So our geographical footprint where we are responsible for, of course, we're based out of Jonesboro, Craighead County, but we are responsible for Greene, Clay, Poinsett, and Mississippi counties as well. So we have a pretty big geographical footprint that we cover there. 306 total children, about 50-50 males and females, girls and boys there. And you can see the majority of kids that we serve that have come into foster care are under the age of 5, newborn to 5. Again, the total, and then you can see we're kind of spread across the board as far as racial makeup. with Caucasians leading the way, and African Americans right under 20, 1 out of 5 kids that we serve. Types of victimizations. I like to share this because it kind of makes us think about what these children are going through, what type of abuse they've suffered. The overwhelming abuse is physical abuse or neglect are reasons why they come into care. So this can be a mom or a dad or a guardian or an aunt or uncle, whoever has custody of that child, physically hitting these children, shaking them. You know, we've heard of shaken baby syndrome, just extreme physical abuse, stuff that we don't want to talk about over lunch, right? And then environmental neglect. So is this house safe? Is there electrical wiring sticking out? Are there 10 broken windows? Are there 42 cats and 11 dogs in the house? Is it a safe situation for these children to grow up in those cases, no. So that's why the state of Arkansas steps in, brings them into foster care. Sexual abuse victims, just under 10%, right at 9% last year, came into foster care because they were sexually abused. Survivors of homicide victims, that's a new one just in the last 12 months for us. That makes up a whole 1% of children that we serve. Came into care because their mother or their father were murdered. So we hope that this is maybe just some kind of one-off trend and maybe has to do with COVID, with the added stress on all of us, not only here in Northeast Arkansas, but across the state and across the nation, and families and individuals as well. So we hope not to see that continue to be a trend and increase in the future. And then human trafficking victims. You've probably heard a lot about human trafficking. It's becoming more awareness is being brought to that issue. Those struggles have always happened, especially with aging youth and teenagers. And we are seeing them be more identified now, and victims are rescued and brought into the care of the state of Arkansas as well through that method. Good news, we had 73 kids that we were assigned to that exited foster care and left care and went back either to a home of origin, and they were reunified with their parents, which is the #1 goal for DCFS and the #1 goal for CASA. Everybody involved with child welfare is to get those kiddos back with mom and dad or the guardian they were removed from, because that is the best situation for them to grow up and develop as children. And then 32% found a forever family in an adoptive home. So those are also great outcomes. And the legal guardianship or custody, that's what happens when an aunt or uncle or grandparents step in and take guardianship and have the space and the capabilities to take care of the kids. And then 8% of kids aged out of foster care. Just want to touch on that real quick. In the state of Arkansas, kids can stay in care until they're 21 years of age if they elect to do so at the age of 18. That is a great benefit to children in care, especially aging youth and young adults. Not every state has that system. Arkansas is blessed to offer that to these children. And there are many benefits that come to these kids. So we always try to talk CASA kids into staying in care until they're 21, because it comes with housing assistance, utility assistance, tuition can be paid for these kids while they continue their education. Even if they have a car and a battery dies, then they can get a new battery or a new tire put on. So there are lots of benefits to children staying in care until they're 21. Who are our volunteers? So we get asked this a lot, and when we go to groups afterwards, some of you hopefully will come up and talk to me about interest in becoming a volunteer. But a lot of times we say, or we get asked, hey, I don't think I have the time for this, or it's probably not for me. You probably have to be a particular person, or you might have to went to law school for at least a year to do this. No, none of that is true. Everybody is eligible, and as long as you're 21 years of age and you can pass a criminal background check and a child maltreatment registry check. Last year we had 111 total advocates that were assigned to and actively worked the case involving children in foster care. You can see that overwhelmingly 82% of our advocates are females. So men in the room, help me spread the word about the need for more males to become advocates and stand by a side of these children. We need more men because, as you saw earlier, 48% of the kids in care are boys. So we want to represent the kids we're serving adequately. Tough word to say after lunch. Adequately by our volunteer force. And right now, with just 1 in 5 men on our volunteer force, we are not doing that. So we need help. We need more men. Even if it's not for you, help me spread the word when you leave here and find some good men to be advocates. We have a pretty good spread over, the majority are Caucasian, and then we have other ethnicities represented there as well in our volunteer force. Kind of what I was talking about, most people say, well, I don't think I have the time. Well, to become a CASA volunteer, it takes about 20 hours of pre-service training. And then you can count on about 6 to 8 hours a month of casework that is completely on your own time and on your own schedule. The only thing that's not on your own time and schedule is when you have to go to court. So the judge doesn't work that around your own schedule. But that's about 4 to 5 times a year. That's when you'll have to go to court for every review hearing. The other 6 or 8 hours a month, that's all on your own time. And 79% of our advocates, as you can see, are full-time or part-time employed. So 4 out of 5 of our advocates work a job and then give their time as well in their free time to children in foster care. Roles of a CASA, I've briefly covered that, and coming up right after this, Judge Halsey is going to cover it real well, so I won't spend a lot of time. But we want our advocates to become friends, mentors, and ultimately that person that a child going through a very difficult time in their life can grow and to trust, to confide in, to make sure that we know what their wants, their needs, their desires are, and we can relate that in the form of a court report to the judge when we go to court. So we want them to see a child at least twice a month. So that's the minimum that you have to visit face-to-face with that child. Over the past year, it's been difficult, and we've used a lot of Zoom like we're doing today, but we've made it through it, and hopefully we're at the end of the tunnel now. So twice a month, visiting the child. We also work closely with the biological parents. So until they give us a reason to not believe in them, we're going to believe in them, that they're going to work that case. They're going to meet all the court orders, what the judges ordered them to do, go to parenting classes, anger management classes, get what they needed to get done, and hopefully be reunified with those kids. So if they're doing their job, then we want to yell it from the mountaintop and make sure the court is aware of that. And then we work closely with the Department of Human Services, in particular, Department of Children and Family Services, DCFS. We work closely with all their caseworkers and their program assistants, supervisors in all 5 counties. We try to be an arm of support for them, and they are overburdened, overworked, understaffed, and what's put on their plate, it's hard to achieve success 100% of the time. So that we're happy to step in and offer some assistance and another set of eyes and ears on these cases involving kids. So none of the kids fall between the cracks and all of their needs are being met while they're in care. And then, of course, we work closely. We have access. Actually, a CASA advocate in the state of Arkansas has more access than the Crimes Against Children Division in the Arkansas State Police. So we can gather any type of records, information we want to. We can go talk to just about anybody that's a party or has any relation to that case. There might be a possible placement in the future for those children. Medical, therapeutic, educational records. We can go talk to doctors, teachers, softball coaches, neighbors, any family member, law enforcement. We want to gather all of that factual information and then put it in the form of a court report, present that as evidence at every review hearing, and be available to testify if needed in court. Speaking of court, many of you are probably familiar with recently retired Judge Barbara Halsey. She served over 2 decades and was in DHS court for the majority of her time on the bench. And just recently, she sat down with us and did a quick little video to help us promote the good work being done by CASA and our advocates. And I just wanted to share that with you real quick.
First National Bank is proud to partner with CASA of the 2nd Judicial District, celebrating 25 years of operation. CASA shares our value of putting you first, always, by giving back to children and families in Northeast Arkansas.
Well, making decisions is what the judge does. And absolutely, those decisions impact a child's life. And to make the best decisions, the court needs a lot of information. And in fact, CASA began when several years ago, a judge in Seattle, Washington realized he didn't have enough information to make the decisions that he needed to make for children in his court. He went out into the community and he solicited his friends and neighbors, anyone who would volunteer. He matched them with a foster child and said, please just go gather information and report back to the court. And then with that information, the judge is able to make decisions that are better for children. And so that was the beginning. Court appointed special advocates. Well, CASA, after doing an investigation and interviews, will submit a report to the court at hearings. And the court receives evidence from other parties as well, but the CASA report is always of particular interest to the court, especially their recommendations. And often when that CASA report is in hand, a judge will go directly to those recommendations. If the recommendations are consistent with the other evidence that the court's been receiving, then it just provides the court with some confidence that everything's on the right track. Sometimes a CASA recommendation will alert the court to serious issues perhaps that have not been presented to the court before. That's really important. CASA brings to the court information that's neutral, that's just about the child, what the child needs, what the child's bad situations might be, maybe educational, maybe medical, maybe emotional, perhaps what services the court could provide to help the child. And that information is different than those competing positions.
You see the 25-year anniversary up there. Wanted to briefly talk about that. This year we are celebrating our 25th year of service to this corner of the state and providing volunteer advocacy for children in foster care. So it's a big organizational milestone. Over 1,700 volunteers, as you can see, have provided personal advocacy services to more than 4,700 children in foster care over that 25-year period. So just let that sink in about the positive impacts that have been made by these over 1,700 volunteers on the lives of children. Like I said, they're going through the most difficult time in their life. Not only the impact they made on those lives for that 12-month, 18-month period while they were in the care of the state of Arkansas, but some of these kids are 30 years old, 35 years old now. I guarantee you they still remember the impact and the relationship and probably still have a relationship with their CASA advocate that was assigned to them while they were in foster care. So not only just does CASA volunteers, do our advocates make an impact right then while they're in foster care, but it's a lifelong impact. But of course, with all of those volunteers and our 93 active volunteers that we have right now serving the 5 counties I mentioned earlier, we still need more volunteers because our ultimate goal is to reach 100% of children in foster care that have a CASA advocate assigned to them that's by their side, helping them through that very difficult time. So help me spread the word. If you think this is not exactly for you, I totally understand, but it might be for a family member or a neighbor or a coworker or somebody you go to Sunday school with. Please help us spread the message that we need more volunteers. We need more advocates. Next training class starts May 1st, right around the corner. And I'll stick around afterwards to answer any questions that anybody may have about becoming a volunteer. Next, real quick, I want to share one more video, and you probably saw a familiar face in the room on the intro to those videos. Allison, thanks very much, and we're very appreciative of First National for helping us out with these videos and making these possible. But these next 2 people on the video are William and Laura Weaver. They're current advocates. They have worked 2 cases. Just recently, one of their cases closed where all 4 kids found adopted forever homes. And they're going to share with you why they became volunteers.
First National Bank is proud to partner with CASA of the 2nd Judicial District, celebrating 25 years of operation. CASA shares our value of putting you first always by giving back to children and families in Northeast Arkansas.
Well, one reason was to participate and give back, just to be part of a child's life who needs someone in their life to support them.
I had known a few people that had been CASAs before, and I'd heard some announcements like on the radio to represent a child in court, but I didn't really understand what that meant. And then we were, just some of the people that had been CASAs before had kind of talked about it and how meaningful and impacting it was for them. And with that, I ran into one of the supervisors, the CASA supervisor, and just started talking with her. And it just kind of made everything else kind of make more sense, and realize that we could make a difference in someone's life. And it's not just showing up at court. It's much more than that. When a child can't look you in the face when you're talking to them, and they don't make eye contact, and they kind of seem timid for you being there, and then you see them develop and flourish and grow in their own confidence and their own ability to believe that they matter, and you just see them grow and develop. And to me, that's the most awesome part, is just seeing them develop just into a normal, healthy child.
Would be doing my job if I didn't mention the sponsorship opportunities that are available for our 25th anniversary. Of course, CASA is a nonprofit 501c organization, but we operate just like every other business around town. We do have to have some money to operate. So if you're interested in becoming a sponsor and helping us commemorate this milestone anniversary of ours, I'd be more than happy to talk to you. There's plenty of opportunities available. Be happy to share more information with you afterwards. I do want you to, if you're on social, give us a follow on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. You can keep up with us, all the great work that's being done by our volunteers, by our staff, by our board, and the positive impacts that are being made on the lives of children across Northeast Arkansas, across our social platforms. And I thank you very much for having me here today. Allison, thank you for the warm welcome. And it's great to be back around a room full of great community-minded, kind-hearted individuals like everybody here. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. If not, I will sit down. Sure. The question was, do any volunteers have more work with or are assigned more than one client? Great question. And the answer is yes. All of our new volunteers are only assigned one case. So you never work more than one case until you've been a volunteer for at least 6 months. And then that volunteer has to approach us and say, hey, how about a second case? We don't ever approach them and want to overburden them because that's kind of what separates us from the department, is we have one case instead of the average caseworker having 24.2 cases last year assigned to them. So we can give that attention to detail a little more by just having the one case and focusing on the one child, or in some cases, the whole sibling set. We're assigned a case, but we get the whole sibling set. So if there's 3 sisters and 2 brothers, then there's 5 kids that we're assigned to and that we work with during that entire time. Does that make sense? Okay, thank you. How often is the training class offered? And the answer is that we offer that at least once a quarter. Sometimes we work in an extra training class. Our training lasts 2.5 weeks, and it's held on a Saturday morning from 8:30 to noon. And then it's on Monday, Wednesday, Friday evenings from 6 to 8 for 2 weeks. And we've been doing Zoom training, remote training, which we got over a few hurdles, as we all have over the past 12 months, and it's worked out well. But we are going to start back to a hybrid session, just like we're taking part in right here with that May 1st training class. The easiest way to move forward, if you want to become a volunteer or help us spread the message, visit our website, neacasa.org, neacasa.org. Click on the volunteer tab. All the information's there. You can fill out the volunteer application right there on their website, and we'll get in touch with you in 24 hours. The question is, I'll remember this time, what happens to the kids that aren't assigned a CASA because we don't have enough volunteers? And unfortunately, is they do not have that extra set of eyes and ears in their life, or that extra friend or mentor to be by their side while they're in foster care and trying to find a positive outcome. So, of course, the department is there all the time, providing them with the services, and the caseworkers there, program assistants working with them. But we've talked about the burden they have with the amount of kids in care. And right now, across the 2nd Judicial District, there are just over 430 kids in foster care. And we're serving about 68%. So the benefits of having a CASA, I'll just go ahead and elaborate on your question there, but the benefits have been proven over the last couple of decades by the National CASA Association that a child in foster care that has a CASA advocate assigned to them spends 4 less months in care on average compared to a child that does not have an advocate. So there's a great benefit, and they are 54% less likely to re-enter foster care once they exit foster care compared to a child that does not have an advocate. The question was, where do our volunteers come from? Are they evenly split among the 5 counties we serve? And where do the most kids come from? Okay, so I'll answer the second part first. The county with the highest amount of children in foster care is Greene County. And then Craighead is about 25 less kids in Greene County, and Poinsett is right on par with Craighead County. So let that sink in a little bit. Poinsett County has as many kids in foster care as Craighead County does, and we all know the population difference. Same with Greene County leading our area in kids in foster care. The greatest number of advocates that we have on our volunteer force is in Craighead County. Right now we have 56 active advocates out of that 93 that are from Craighead County. And we're serving 97% of kids in foster care in Craighead County. So we're knocking it out of the park here locally. But we need some help from the other surrounding counties. And even if you come on board and you reside in Craighead County, we'll try to talk you into going to work in Poinsett County and going to court at Harrisburg, or driving up 20 minutes to go to Greene County and work there, because that's where the need is. Great question. Okay, the question was if any realignment of state government or cabinet departments have effective CASA, and so far the answer is no. So far, CASA is housed under the Administrative Office of the Courts, so they operate under the same branch that the Supreme Court in Arkansas does. And there have been no effects. There have been no cuts in appropriations that are appropriated by the legislature to Arkansas CASA Association. And there have been no increases over the last 2 years. So everything's just kind of remained the same. Any other questions? Great questions. Thank you very much. And again, thanks for your time. Thanks for being here. And I'll be happy to stick around and talk to anybody that wants any further information. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thanks, Jeremy, for being here. Great program, another great program, and good information. So appreciate everyone being here. I do want to say, I think this has gone pretty well, talking to folks that are on Zoom. So for the first time for us to have a hybrid meeting. So hopefully we can continue this. So appreciate y'all being here. Glad to see everyone, and have a great rest of the week. We'll adjourn.